Hey everybody, welcome to Van Life Sewing 101. I am your host Alex James, and today we're going to be covering how to sew and make Reflectix window panel covers for your van. So what we're going to start with is this is Reflectix insulation, which you can find, you actually can't find it at most Home Depots, but you can find it on Amazon or most Lowe's home improvement stores have it. And this is just a thin, almost bubble wrap type material that reflects the sun's harmful UV rays and stops the heat from coming in and baking you while you're sitting in your van or sleeping in your van. So we're going to be teaching you how to cut and sew fabric onto both sides of this material so that you have fancy looking covers and your van looks super fly. This is a finished product that we've actually created here over our kitchen window. And as you can see, we have this nice fabric on the outside. And then if we pull this out, we have a black fabric on the back side so that from the outside of our van, when somebody's looking in, all they can see is blackness. They have no idea what's going on inside, and that, for example, you're living in here. So first, I'm just gonna go ahead and measure the widest point of my window, which is the top. So I've got about 49 inches. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut a piece that's 49 inches wide. Next, after I've cut my piece roughly to the size of the window, I'm gonna use a Sharpie, and I'm gonna hold my Reflectix up in the window, and I'm just gonna make some rough marks to show where I'm going to be cutting to make it fit in the window nice and pretty. So always cut less and go measure again, because you can always cut more, but if you cut too much to begin with, you can't really add more material. And this is the last piece of Reflectix that we have after all of our builds. And I really don't want to have to go and buy more. So I highly recommend getting one side cut to fit first before you move on to cutting the second side. So here you can see we've got a little bit of a gap here. So I could trim this off, but I actually, so I'm just need to trim a little bit through here to make it fit on this side perfect. Now we have our Reflectix cut to size. And you can see we've tucked it under this weather stripping a little bit over here, because that's going to help hold it in place even after we put the fabric over. Because this is on our door and we're going to be opening, and we obviously don't want it to fall off as we're slamming our door shut, we're going to end up putting a little bit of velcro on the outside, on the opposite side in the middle. So that's going to help pull it into the window. So now, ready to start sewing. Seeing as how we live in a van, we are at my in-laws' house, cutting and sewing. It helps if you have a table in a big area, not trying to do all of this in your van. If you have a shop, that'd be even better. Next, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be taking these two fabrics. We have a black fabric here for the outside, again, so that if somebody's looking through the window, all they see is black. And then we have this awesome fabric, which is turquoise and goldish, and matches our other fabrics that we have in the van that we're going to be putting on the inside portion of the van so that we can see it. I cannot help you with picking out your own fabric, but that's up to you. Sorry. All right, so next I'm going to be cutting the black fabric to size. We're going to be mounting that on the outside panel. We're going to sew on some Velcro. Then we're going to be cutting the other fabric to size, and we're going to be putting that on the other side. We have ironed our black material that's going to be going on the outside of our panels. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay this over the black and pin it in place so that we can sew it on. Now we have our black fabric sewn onto the backside of our Reflectix. Again, doesn't have to be pretty because nobody's going to be seeing the seam. We have our new fabric cut and ironed, which I'm going to set this panel over, and now we can cut off the excess, and then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to pin this fabric to the other side of our Reflectix. We have our pins, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold our fabric over to meet the edge of our panel, and then we're going to fold this over one more time. So this is gonna be our seam that's gonna be on the back side of the fabric. And then from here, you're gonna go ahead and pin perpendicular to the stitch that you're gonna be running across the fabric. Because if you run it parallel, you're not really gonna be able to sew. I wanna make sure that you're not using 20 pins on each side, because the more pins that you use, the more the material is actually gonna bunch. Because as the sewing machine goes over this, it's gonna make it really tight and it can cause it to bunch up because your pins are gonna be off by just a little bit. You actually wanna pull your pins about 6 inches before your sewing machine foot gets to the pin. So I'm only gonna use 3 pins for this whole side. That's right. Frickin' pro sewing tips from Alex James. What? This is not a sewing tutorial. This is how to make Reflectix panels by Jinkly Sewing. If you need sewing lessons, call my mom, because that's what we did. Eight days later, we're finally done sewing. Not really, it took a few hours. So, we need to put some Velcro on the back, but this is what our Stardust panel is gonna look like on our window. Gonna sit right about there. I like it, I approve. Now, I can drink cerveza. We purchased fabric Velcro, which is designed to stick to fabric. So what I'm gonna do is peel off the back, finally, it took forever. I'm gonna go ahead and place this top and bottom in the middle. So, pro tip, stick your Velcro on the surface first, and then peel it off and stick it to the window, and get the Velcro to stick to the window that way. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more awesome van life tips. Until next time, deuces, later.